George Nelson, the man that I consider to be the retro-modernist. I claim George Nelson to be a retro-modernist because he's considered to be one of the founding fathers of modernistic design along with the Eames brothers. Now we can see a few of his products here that for someone who was designing in the 30s and 40s, he seemed to have an eye for the future. He said, "There have been proposals to improve design by converting it into a kind of science. Those with even a smattering of recent history will remember that the same attempt was made in psychology and sociology. I suspect such efforts are not much of an attempt to improve, but rather to get a free ride on the enormous prestige science enjoys. Design is not a science, it never will be." For my first poster here, I focused on the use of alignment. I thought what better way to represent alignment than a human face. So I was inspired by this clock and I translated it into this interesting visual of connecting lines across a human face. I also aligned the text in a way that leads the eye down to the face with an arrow-like shape. For my poster that represented George Nelson's style, I was inspired by his coconut chair. The sharp edges led me to this polygonal shape that has a honeycomb-like effect. I also chose a simple color palette that I feel represents a modern color that could fit into a design from the 30s and 40s. For my final design of my interpretation of George Nelson's work, I was inspired by his floral clock design. I focused on the sharp corners that led me to this triangle shape. I also used these lines throughout the poster to break up the mass as well as assist in the visual weight being drawn to the left-hand side of the poster through the cross that was created with these lines. And here are my final three posters, all of which I feel capture a modern and clean feeling that is representative of George Nelson's geometric and clean designs.